I told you guys I wanted to start showcasing Black married couples on the show because I'm starting to realize like a lot of my audience don't have a lot of real Black married couples to hear from about their journey. These are actually like Itika's like my best friend, so therefore her husband BG is my indirect brother-in-law. So I wanted to bring them on, and what was so interesting is today is their wedding anniversary. Yes, they've been married for, is it 3 years today, guys?
3 years. So we got our marriage license 3 years ago today, and we got married the next day.
Okay.
So celebrating with dinner and all that good stuff tomorrow. But today's the 3 years ago we got married.
I know, and I love this because you guys actually got married. How old were you, Itika, when you got married?
So I was 41. Actually, no, I was 40. I had my baby at 41. Sorry. I was 40.
She was
40
years old when she got married, had her baby at 41. And I really wanted y'all to come on because a lot of women feel like by the age of 35, if they're not married, it's the end of the road. But you guys actually prove that narrative differently. And I want to bring your husband in here because BG is a real one. It don't get more real than her husband BG, okay? And BG, I want to talk because you know, you have a lot of qualities that women on my show request, like you're attractive, you do well financially, you're over 6 feet. But they say a lot of times those men want women 20 years old, 30 years old. What was it about my best friend that you knew she had to be your wife?
Well, I don't know. I met Itika a long time before we started dating, and I was smitten. Is that what he said?
Yes.
I was. So we were in the same friend group. Maybe about 2006 is when I met her. And so from 2006 to maybe 2011, we would party together in friend groups. So I just always had in my mind, like, this would be ideal. But back then she was in Chicago and I lived in LA. And then years later, by total coincidence, I was downtown LA and ran into her like late night, shot my shot. Like a real shot. I was like,
and she was with a guy. He shot. She
no.
was with the
Like,
tell the whole story.
Don't say no. Let's go to dinner. And if you don't like me at the dinner, I promise I'll never bother you again. But like, let's go to dinner.
I love it.
I was walking down the street with another man when Brian got his shot.
She was on the date.
Got his shot.
They were in my neighborhood.
They were in your neighborhood. So can y'all give some advice? And I want y'all to speak freely to the people that are watching because I even saw some people saying, oh, there's hope for me at 36 because there's so many people that just feel like I know because I have so many examples that love can happen and marriage can happen really at all different ages. But in your situation in particular, and even Noah, their daughter, you had your daughter at 41 years old. So what was that experience? What was that experience like? And did you, I mean, I actually know the story, but I want you to tell it.
Well, I will say I've been talking to girlfriends, talking to you, obviously. I don't know about, you know, other women's stories that they tell themselves, but I always knew that my husband was out there. I always knew that I would be married. I really wasn't certain if I would ever have children because I didn't get pregnant until I was 40. That was the first time I ever got pregnant in my life. But I did know that I was going to have a life partner. And so I just put myself out there. If guys would ask me to go out like Brian did, like in front of another guy, I would say yes. Like if I was single, I would say, okay, sure. And we would go on a date and I would just get to know guys. If it wasn't working out, I learned from somebody, they said, date often and quickly kind of move on. So if you're seeing somebody and it's not working out, just kind of move on. Because you'll stay in a situation for much longer. If you'll find yourself in a situation for much longer than you need to be, especially if you're looking to be married and to find a lifelong partner.
Well, either one of you can answer this question. What are some things, well, BG, I want you to answer, since what people call a high value man or high quality man, you fit these qualities. What are some of the things that men like yourself look for when they're looking for a wife?
So for me, it went for women and for men. I was looking for someone, I guess, to be honest with me. Because at that point, I mean, you know me, I was successful work-wise, but I was still kind of, I didn't have my shit together. Like I was still making bad decisions a lot. I wasn't around the right guys. but I knew it. Like I had I got a bit of a moral compass, so I always knew that I'm not living right, so to speak. And I was really honest. Like she was kind of like, you need to clean house. Like none of these people, they're all here for the ride, the parties, but they don't really care about you, and they're, kind of watching you make bad decisions, and they're all celebrating. So for me, I needed that. I was looking for somebody just to be honest, because I had a lot of yes men and people around me that would not speak up to me. They wouldn't be honest with me. So that's what I needed, and that's like her biggest quality. Like to me, she was very honest in how she thought I was and how I was living, and she didn't agree with a lot of it, but I needed it at the time.
Needed at a time. I want to say something. Obviously, Atika is beautiful. She was even model back in the day, so you definitely are a beautiful woman. How important is that? Let's talk about it, because they talk about appearances and all these things. BG, give the ladies real talk now, because women want to get wiped up. They want to become wise, and you a real one with real friends with all this stuff. Give the ladies some advice if they really want to attract certain men such as yourself.
We're in this era the last few years. I feel like there's been a line drawn between, the term submissive and all of that. At the end of the day, the biggest quality is just being a loving, nurturing woman. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, I speak for guys, I don't know what women feel like, but I'm sure it's just as intense. But I know Black men, we carry a lot of stress, and there's no one to cry to. So it's like your bills, your household, your employer, maybe your business partners, you're always under pressure to succeed and to do well and to live a certain kind of life, but it is extremely heavy. You know what I'm saying? So really, you just want peace. So you don't want to come home and argue. You want to come home and be able to kind of recharge with your partner. So you need to, there has to be a level of respect. Like Itika, when she comes on, she gives me a few minutes to kind of, or if I come home to kind of decompress, then we talk about our day. And we figure it out, things that I'm struggling with. She supports me and helps me, like reinforces positive energy and love. And it gets me through everything one day at a time. So really, it's not about money or anything like that. You really just want a partner that loves you. And we're at the point now, we have so many friends, we can recognize that when we see people dating, like he don't love you. You know what I'm saying? So you really want to, you want somebody that loves you. People, when people love you, they love you, So I would tell women just to be really honest and nurturing and loving, because it's, that's what we really do want, whether we can articulate it or not. We want to be loved and we want to be in a loving relationship.
Okay. Atika, what's the female advice? You be giving me advice, you be giving all the friends advice. So I know you got the gym. So tell them some of the things that I know that we have talked about. And it's funny, I have quoted you several times. They didn't know I was quoting you. One thing I will tell them that I quote you, and I don't say it, I've said it a couple times. I said, my friend said a man's attraction is based on how he treats you. So if a man is model fine, but he's treating you like dirt, he's essentially ugly.
Period.
So you always, so what's some other advice you could give to single ladies who would like to be a wife like you one day?
Well, it's an individual journey, right? But I feel like the first thing you have to do is to behold yourself. So before I met Brian, I was in therapy for years. We were in therapy together. We got together to get through some things. And I really had to behold myself so that I could choose the right guy. You know what I mean? So that's something that I would tell all women. Like, have a real conversation with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Say, would you want to date you? Would you want to come home to you? Like, what kind of feelings are you getting when you're alone by yourself? Like, are you and you cool? So I definitely think working on myself to make sure I was a whole person allowed me to select the right man, because I knew what I needed, what I was about to give and willing to give. And so it had to be someone who deserved it. And like I tell you, I don't think that looks are necessarily important. Now, you want to be attractive, right? So when you go on a dinner for the first time, you don't want to be like, you want to be like, okay, from an angle, sometimes you have to do that. But as the guy starts treating you better, starts showing up, starts being consistent, for me, that's where he becomes fine. You know what I mean? You're not fine because you take a cute picture. For me, you're fine because you got my back, because you fool with me, because you're fool with my friends, because you're kind, because you're intelligent. Like, that's what makes a guy fine.
Okay, and then you also talk about you think women should date multiple men, not necessarily sex, until they are in a relationship.
I do. I feel like what I learned in my life, when I would be faithful or in a platonic situationship, but the guy was always dating other women, multiple women, right? And I don't know what he was doing with them necessarily, but he was certainly taking them to dinner, coffee, texting them, whatever. And I started thinking like, well, you know, ain't nobody else texting me, ain't nobody else taking me to coffee, ain't nobody else checking on me. So it wasn't feeling right. And I was like, you know what, I don't like that feeling. So I started telling myself like, yo, if you're not in a committed relationship, you are single. And if a guy wanted to take me out and I wasn't in a committed relationship, even if I had maybe been going on dates with someone else or whatever, I would still accept, because why not? You could be my husband, because this guy hasn't decided he even wants to commit to me in a relationship, let alone marry me one day. So I'm not gonna, you know, close the door on opportunity to meet my future husband because I'm kind of smitten by what's going on over here. I really had to kind of compartmentalize. And that's what I think women should do. And that's what I tell my girlfriends.
Okay. Before y'all go, I want y'all, the biggest thing I hear, and I think BG, I want both of y'all to talk about this, but BG, I want you to go first, is a lot of Black women in particular, they want a man that's their financial equal, which I understand. So we hear a lot of, I want a man that makes at least 100K because I make 100K or more. And so I guess from that perspective, what is your thoughts on that? Like, is that a fair request, or should women be open-minded to maybe dating men who make less?
I think I definitely think you should be open-minded to a man that makes less. The thing about it is, obviously, a lot of people want things that they haven't had, but you also forget what comes with those type of cats. Like, you might have a guy that makes more than $300,000 a year, but he might be a bad guy. Like, he might have a woman in every city. You know, he might not treat you. You know, I believe in especially nowadays. I mean, there's unlimited ways to make money. So I believe investing in a good man is better than anything. I mean, because together y'all can do anything. Like, it doesn't take a lot to make a lot of money, especially if you have a partner and y'all really focused on that. So I would date for character before anything, because money, I mean,
it comes and goes.
Money comes and goes, and it's a lot that comes with people with a lot of money.
Sometimes I have to hold him down, right? I've had to hold him down. I say that, you know, happened in his business. He's definitely had to hold me down because we started a business when we met, and honestly, us starting this business has created now, you know, generational wealth for our children. But it wasn't about, oh, I want to make 100K. I really wanted him to be able to make 100K and then another 100K and another 100K, right? So it's the earning potential is what you got to look at. You got to look at that earning potential, because if you're really like, hey, I want a guy to make 100K, but why stop there? You know what I mean? Especially if you guys can come together and build wealth. You know, let's have like a different conversation, I think, other than like just 100K. He could, obviously, I would want the guy to be able to take care of himself. That's what I would say. I would not want to have to come into a relationship to have to take care of someone else, because it's hard enough to take care of myself. But if I'm taking care of myself, you're taking care of yourself, and we come together, then in my opinion, you're going to be fine.
Okay. All right. So before y'all go, some quick signs that a person is serious about this relationship and you. So if a man is serious, BG, what are some of the things he does when a guy is really serious? Because sometimes a lot of women don't even know. They feel like, oh, he hasn't called me all week. Is that man not serious about her? Or does he really like her?
Oof.
Be honest.
I mean, I think if a man is serious about you, he's going to be on your neck, like, as much as he can. That's just my opinion. I'll say when Itika and I started dating, we only saw each other like once a week, on purpose. Like, we was like, let's just take our time. But I was calling her 7 days a week. Like, you want to see each other another night? You want to, you know? So I really do. I mean, I can't speak for men that don't do that, but I think that's a little bit of a red flag.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
They feel you.
They own you. All right. And then also, they're about to go. These are my friends in real life, real close friends. They have a business together. They are a Black-owned entity. So I want you to shout out Old Vine Flowers and all that, Itika.
Yes. So we have a floral company here in Los Angeles. It's called Old Vine Florals. We do luxury floral designs. We also flower walls, gifts, sympathy arrangements. So oldvineflorals.com is the website. Our IG is at Old Vine Florals. And we also have a luxury fragrance line. I am the only Black woman florist with a fragrance, and it is Old Vine fragrance. So
Hey,
thank you for
time for the people.
Old Vine Florals and Old Vine Fragrance, oldvinefragrance.com and oldvineflorals.com.
Yes, MBG, what was it about Itika? I think I asked you this question, but I'm not sure if you answered it. That when you knew is there a moment when you knew she was going to be your wife?
Yeah, on our first date. I mean, our first date, we had so much fun. Like I said earlier, I was like, if you don't like me after dinner, let me know, and I won't bother you, man. We kicked it all night. We came home like 5:30 in the morning. And also, Itika's like me. I mean, she's very beautiful, but she's from Richmond. She's from the Bay, so she's
area.
she relates to my type of person. Like we're from basically hoods, and we did well for ourselves. We're educated, but we come from tough backgrounds. But we're educated, and we wanted to be more than that. So we get along on a very basic level. Like we understand each other.
Yes, and happy 3rd wedding anniversary. They got married when she was 40 years old. BG, do you tell your age?
I'm 46. I turned 46 ago.
Okay, so they got married in their 40s. So for all the people thinking that after 35, if you didn't find just somebody, you can still find somebody. And she had her first child at 41 years old. Baby Noah.
And also, if you're 35 or even younger than 40, I'm 46, and this is like literally the best time of my life, like by far. And I've had a great run. I've had an incredible, but I'm serious. This is like the best time of my life, period.
I love it. Well, listen, I love y'all. I'm going to showcase more Black married couples because I want to put that energy in the world on my show, and I want to enlighten the single people who truly do want to find their somebody. So I think the best thing is to hear different stories. So I appreciate y'all, and it worked out on your 3rd wedding anniversary, so that's awesome. So I'll call you later, girl. Bye, guys.